Hey, this is Ken from Coffee Crafters. I wanted to do a quick roasting video on the new Valenta 15 and talk about a few of the things roasting on this that make it a little bit different than other machines. Some things make it a lot easier. And I'm just going to roast 6 pounds, throw it in there. So I'll go ahead and load them in. So I'm roasting in manual mode right now. I don't have the Prometheus hooked up over here. It's a little more challenging roasting in manual mode than our other machines because there's such a big difference between roasting with ambient air temperature going into the loft blower and preheated air. So in this machine, we were able to isolate the actual blower part of the loft motor from the electric motor part. So the electric motor is in ambient air temperature all the time, and it's got a cooling fan. So we're able to boost that intake air up to 130 degrees. When it gets up to, I think Jason set it at 135, the Prometheus unit sends a signal down and a door will open in the back and let in ambient air temperature air to cool it back down a bit so it doesn't go over that. But it made a huge difference in performance. So one of the things you'll notice on this machine, you can preheat it to get that air temperature up before roasting. You don't need to. But on a full 15-pound load, that first 15-pound load might take 13 minutes. And then once it's up to temperature, which it will be on the second load, then it's down to about 9.5 minutes to 440 degrees bean temperature. So the preheating makes a big difference. It is nice to let the computer manage that heat on smaller loads. So this unit comes with the Prometheus unit pre-installed, pre-tested to make sure that it's opening and closing the door in the back. Now when you're roasting in manual mode, you can also go back and open that door manually. And you might want to do that, just crack it open about 1/2 inch is all it takes to keep it a little bit cooler. So it might not be quite as efficient because I wouldn't want to run the temperature too high. One of the things we noticed, if you don't open that vent back there, we had intake air going up to 150 degrees, which was more than we wanted for the motor. So the computer helped regulate that. But if you just open it a crack like 1/2 inch, it would be fine. It wouldn't get over 130 degrees. One of the cool things with this too is you don't have to mess with it while you're roasting. So testing on the Valenta 7, one of the things I learned was after sitting there day after day after day, I did not have to babysit the loft or the roaster. And this one is the same or even better. Once you get it started doing its thing, we have recommended loft settings that you'll find in there for the different load sizes. So you want to dial those in. Only word of caution is sometimes the setting on this roaster in our factory might be a little bit different than the loft setting in your environment. Just make sure that the beans never stop lofting. Right now on the 6-pound load, I only have the loft set at like 2 3/4. Even on full loads, the loft settings are really low, so we have way more air than we need to loft it, which works good too. So we're lofting the larger loads at a lower CFM with really good heat transfer, also helps make it more efficient. So you'll notice on the roast air temperature is very similar than the 7. Roast air temperature on a 2-pound load, which is the minimum load size on this to be able to hit the thermocouple so that you can actually get a good bean temperature reading. Lower temperatures on small loads, all the way up to like 620 degrees on full 15-pound loads. But yeah, it works really good. You will notice the graphs on the profiling software are really, really stable on the 15. And you might have noticed that we were talking about that on the video we did before when Jason was here roasting with us. And one of the things we think really stabilizes it, this has 15,600 watts of power, but when you turn on the heat, the center, there's actually divided into 3 different controllable elements, but the center one is on all the time. And Jason thinks that made a big difference in stabilizing that graph, because these things were like really pretty graph all the way through the roast. If you're doing full 15-pound loads and that's all you're doing, just flip it to manual. The graph will still show you what's going on with the temperature, and turn it up on high and let it go. So it just kind of parks itself. So roasting in manual, you know, it really throws a really good graph as well. You can use the Prometheus if you want to do that. It might not allow you to roast in a shorter roast time to get it down below 10 minutes. With all of our roasters, we want to be able to do 6 turns an hour to a 440-degree bean temperature. That's how we tell whether we're done. Some of our competitors have a larger capacity load size, but it won't do that many turns an hour. So even though this is only 15 pounds, we can do 90 pounds an hour consistently on a 440-degree bean temp in a warm machine. And the other machines, if they're rated at 20, 22 pounds, they're not going to do that much per hour. So yeah, it was really efficient. We also made it easier to access everything if you have to work on it, if you want to clean the hopper. One of the cool things on this one, if you come over to the side here, this is a prototype unit, so it doesn't have this whole side unit that comes out as one modular unit. But it's really cool if you want to take the hopper out for cleaning. You can remove this panel without having to touch anything on the electronics. This whole side comes out, and there's only 2 little nuts up here that hold the hopper in position. 6 nuts that hold it down to the roast chamber. You take those off, the whole thing comes out for cleaning. So we really worked on that because we wanted it to be fast to be able to take it apart and to get that out for cleaning. So that worked good. We taken it out multiple times when we were putting in different thermocouples or changing the location of a thermocouple, and made it really convenient. All of the components, the electrical components, are over here on the side of the roaster. So there's a door down here. If you open the door, all the breakers to the machine are right there. There's 1 breaker for each one of the 5200 watt elements in there. 2 for the control side. A door in here for the Prometheus unit. And yeah, so it's easy to get it all apart. So on the fittings that come with this, we only sent it with a couple fittings. One is over here on the blower. It will come with a Y, just like it does with all of our other roasters, a 6 to 5 reducer to go to the bean cooler. The ducting that goes to the chaff collector is 6-inch all the way through. We got a 5-inch going here over to the hood, and it's been venting really, really well, so we're really happy with that. The chaff box down below the cyclone down here holds a lot of chaff, so you could probably do 20 loads before you have to empty the chaff collector. We put a bag outside when we were testing the chaff collector to make sure that we were catching all the chaff and it wasn't escaping, and we were really pleased with the results. It's really catching the chaff well. One other different thing on this roaster is no flex ducting, rigid ducting throughout. You can use standard ducting and tape the seams, and a little later we're working with a vendor to come out with a complete duct kit. If somebody wants to really trick it out with stainless steel ducting, we're going to make a duct kit for that you'll buy directly from the manufacturer of the ducting. So that'll be cool. All right, so we're just about up to temperature here to dump the beans. When you dump the beans on this, you don't have to turn the heat off and you don't have to turn the loft off. You can just open the door and dump it in there. So got a blast gate on the side. So there we go. I actually roasted that coffee for me, so I only wanted it about 430 degrees, but yeah, so really easy to operate. You can roast and cool at the same time. So if you dump 15 pounds, put 15 pounds right back in there. It takes about 2 minutes to cool a 15-pound load, and When you're done cooling, like our other roasters, shut the blast gate and you're ready for the next load. If you have any questions about roasting or the software, if you have questions about the software, get a hold of Jason at Prometheus. He services and supports the software that goes with this. If you're troubleshooting, if anything ever goes wrong, we may have you flip it into manual mode so we can help you here at the factory, and that will determine whether it's a software issue or a hardware issue. And other than that, yeah, they're ready to go. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, give us a call.